Hey folks, this is Dan the World Traveler. Today I want to talk to you about Uruguay, South America. It's a little country in South America, about 3 million people. And this recording is going on in April of 2025. This is about a trip I made to in South America. This was May of 2024, so that was about a year ago, a little less than a year ago. So I traveled to, I was in Chile, then Argentina, and then I made a day trip to Uruguay. So this video won't be very long because I wasn't in Uruguay very long. I was literally there for a couple of hours. Okay, so I was staying in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and when I was in Buenos Aires, Argentina, I took a ferry. It took me about half hour, 45 minutes to take a ferry from a port in Buenos Aires, Argentina, to a town called Colonia del Sacramento. Colonia del Sacramento, Uruguay. That's Colonia del Sacramento, Uruguay. This town is definitely less than 100,000 people. It's this little town in Uruguay, right across the La Plata River. So the La Plata River what separates this part of Argentina from this part of Uruguay. I did not go to Montevideo, Uruguay, the capital city, or some of the bigger cities in Uruguay, but so I wasn't in Uruguay for I would say definitely less than I would say maybe if I had to estimate 5 or 6 hours, but I could be wrong about that. So I wasn't there very long. I've actually had airport layovers longer than that. But Uruguay itself is a country with 3 million people in South America. One of the more, shall I say, at least this is what I've heard, peaceful countries in South America. But again, that's what I heard. I'm not an authority on which countries are more peaceful in South America. It's just what I've heard. You go to Uruguay, you spend Uruguayan pesos, and I believe they're 42 Uruguayan pesos to the U.S. dollar. What you don't want to do, and I can speak from a little bit of experiences on this, is don't try to spend Argentina money, because some people, they're in Argentina and they take a ferry to Uruguay for the day and they take Argentina money with them. That might be an issue. I ended up spending a lot more money than I should have by using Argentine pesos in Uruguay. They'll take your money. They'll take the Argentina money, but it doesn't go as far as it should. It isn't. In fact, I could be wrong about this. I think I spent the equivalent of about $20 US on a cup of coffee in Uruguay, because I used Argentina money in Uruguay. So if you're going to go to Uruguay, I recommend I think they take US dollars, Uruguayan money, obviously, or credit card. But using Argentina money may be a bad idea. Just go ahead and keep that in mind. And again, I'm not an authority on currency in Argentina versus currency in Uruguay, but just something for you to think about. I was in Colonia del Sacramento, which is kind of a touristy town, if there ever was one. They've got a old town there. We had a professional guide that walked us through. The tour was about an hour. I could be wrong about that, but walking around Colonia del Sacramento, lots and lots of history. Uruguay used to be part of Brazil, so there's that. Lots and lots of drama in South America in the past centuries. Lots of conflicts. So Uruguay is Uruguay is what it is today, partly because of those, what came out of those conflicts. But a very interesting place, to say the least. And I didn't have a problem with English in Uruguay. I mean, I speak a little bit of Spanish. I'm not fluent, but I can get by. But I didn't really have to. When I was in Uruguay, I spoke Spanish because I wanted to. I certainly could have used English and gotten what I needed to get. But walking around Uruguay was the people are very nice. One thing you'll see in Uruguay, at least I saw it, was and this is just a comment about in general, when you leave the United States, you go see the world, you see dogs. I saw a dog that was just sleeping on the street in Uruguay. It wasn't on a leash, wasn't tied up or anything. It's just kind of that's just the kind of thing you may or may not see in when you leave the United States. You see usually in the United States, when you see a dog, it's on a leash, it's tied up, unless you're way out in the country or something. But in Uruguay, I saw a dog just laying out on the street, wasn't bothering anybody, wasn't. It was definitely alive. It wasn't, but it was alive and well, the dog. But it was just laying around the street, sleeping, enjoying the day. It was something to see there. And you'll see a lot of older vehicles in Uruguay. And there was the town I was in, Colonia del Sacramento. That's the only part of Uruguay I saw, was this little town called Colonia del Sacramento. There's a tower in the kind of like the historical district. You can get up in the tower. It's and you can look out in the tower and see a view of all of that part of Colonia del Sacramento. I see a lot of old cars in Uruguay, and that's one thing I did see. It's safe. I had no problems with safety in Uruguay, but Uruguay, they say it's a safe country. I'm not an authority on Uruguay. I'm sure there's dangerous parts of Uruguay, but the part I was in, I felt absolutely no danger. And of course, it was a touristy place. I went to Colonia del Sacramento. But again, the ferry takes you about half hour to get from Buenos Aires, Argentina, to Uruguay, and you get a ferry back. And I spent maybe less than $100 for a ferry there, a ferry back to Buenos Aires, and I had a free meal. Well, not a free meal; it was part of the price, and a tour guide that took us around Colonia del Sacramento, Uruguay. So Uruguay, I recommend it. It was a great. I get to brag that I was in Uruguay for the rest of my life, I suppose, for a couple hours. But this is Dan, the World Traveler, talking about Uruguay. This video is being made in April of 2025. Have a great day, and hopefully you'll see Uruguay one day. Have a good one. Bye now.